Hi, Ollie.
Hi, Kino. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself?
Excellent. Excellent.
Actually, I woke up this morning and I think I was fighting with myself last night in my dreams because my whole left side, my jaw was paining. I'm like, what happened last night? Then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's something else. Maybe I got an infection or something's going on. But I'm thinking, as the day unfolds, you start reminiscing about, oh yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night and my hand was like in an awkward position. So I've just been, living with that throughout the day, but it's getting better.
You know what's
Getting
ironic, Kino, is that I too have been dealing with the exact same thing. And so I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I can feel that my jaw's just completely shut. And so I uh I feel your pain. I really do.
yeah. Well, we human. It happens.
Right.
It's okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Where are you coming to us from today?
I am coming from Northern Ontario in Canada.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how's it there this time of the year?
Well, we thought we would have a green Christmas or holiday season, and it is -20 today without the wind chill, which I've never understood why they do this other factors. They add on more degrees, but it's very cold today and windy, and we do have a lot of snow.
And do you prefer that type of weather or summer sun?
I prefer fall. That's my
Okay.
favorite season because it's a little bit of both. It's the ending of summer where all of the leaves are turning beautiful colors. You get beautiful, warm, balmy days, but you're leading into winter. So it's a little bit cool at night, but warm during the day. So I prefer that in between. I don't mind the winter. In fact, I've embraced it, which I heard a term a couple years ago called wintering. And I've embraced that term because it gives you permission to cozy up and hibernate for a few months. I think in my older years, I'm going to take that one and run with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds quite beautiful how you explained it.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, sometimes we need a little convincing here in the north for it to be beautiful. So,
Yeah. Personally, I am not a winter person. Like, I can't stand the cold.
no.
Like, it's the worst part of the year for me. But I mean, just like how you said, you embrace it. Like, I
Mhm.
also just appreciate, the moment. I may not like the winter,
Yeah.
but I appreciate that, look, I'm experiencing it. You know, it's not the end of the world. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm still doing what I do, and I just appreciate the moment.
And I've lived in
Not,
places far colder than this, so this is actually warm, but it's what you get used to, right?
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, 100%. So, strangely enough, like I was going to ask you, how do you pronounce your surname? And then I was thinking to myself, if she called herself Holly B, that would sound so cool, you know? And now you come onto the show with Holly B.
Well, um, a lot of people find that strange that I use the initial in the middle of my married name and my given name. But I didn't when I got married, I didn't want to hyphenate my name. Obviously, it would be far too long. But I wanted to maintain the pride of my maiden name. So I went with B. It's for Brisson. And so I just decided to do Holly B. Gutwillinger. So I had the
Okay.
best of both worlds, and I didn't have to hyphenate and write forever on the signature line.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Not really do you find someone that gives an explanation. Some people will be like, it's just there. It's how it is.
No, it definitely has meaning for me, always has. Yeah, and I love it when people
Yeah.
ask because then I get to tell them what my name was.
Yeah, yeah, true, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Holly, again, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Before we get to your book, your new book that's getting released on Valentine's Day. Well, okay, while I'm there, why did you choose that date?
It's my favorite day of the year, and for those who know me, they know, my Instagram is filled with random hearts that I find, along the way in life. Um, it's also because I realized that this book was my love letter to my dog. and that's my own personal approach to it. And so I thought, what better day than Valentine's Day to present this to the world? It's
Yeah.
my letter to my dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That was so sweet.
Thank you.
Love letter to your dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as I was saying, before we get to your book and the awesome connection between humans and dogs, let's get to know Holly. Before the writing, paint a picture for us. What was your life like,
Hmm.
or your journey?
Well, I've lived in remote parts of my country, Canada, due to a husband who worked in a mining industry. So we've lived in some of the colder and more remote places up in northern Manitoba, in the Northwest Territories. And I was a young mom with a baby and one on the way, and I left the nest. And so I've been on a journey of searching for the right job because I would always take jobs wherever we went. And I was always fortunate. I had great jobs, great bosses. But I was always looking for something for me. My husband has always had his career, but I always was following. And I've done so many different things. I have had a creative life. I don't think I could have possibly done more. And I tried so many different things, but I've always been searching. And I think it's because I don't have a lot of family. And so I've been searching for family, never been able to find any other than my parents and my siblings. And so we had to move back for the sake of taking care of both of our parents, although we never expected to come full circle to the town where I was born and raised. And just a few years ago, I discovered writing. And I was always a creative person, but I never really wrote. And that has its own story all on its own, but I found something where I belonged, that belonged to me, and I belong to it in a sense, and it is just who I am now. So I'm finally stepping into my shoes.
Yeah. Wow. You are
Yeah.
great at storytelling. I mean, that was short. Yeah, it was short, but like
That's
your
so nice.
expression and the visuals, like you great at it.
Thank you.
Like you like I mean, you probably are like so awesome at like book tours, interacting with people, your community and audience.
I don't know yet. It'll be my first novel, so we'll see about the book tour thing. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But I do love interacting with people, that's for sure. Yeah, I call
Yeah.
myself an ambivert because I love being with people. I love interacting, but I also love being on my own and, in my environment, my quiet environment by the fire. So I call that an ambivert. Somebody told me that one day, so I've put that in my pocket as well.
That's something else where you love being in between, you
That's
know?
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, makes sense. You know what you were saying about following? I feel
Mhm.
like we've all gone through that.
Mhm.
Every creative person out there, any type of creative person, has been always following, searching, as you said, you know, for whatever's missing in our lives, and then boom, we find it. And just like how you found writing, what I believe is we all born with it, but there's no age where you actually going to realize, hey, I'm good at this, I'm talented at this, this is my ancestral right. There's no
Mhm.
age put down to it. That's what I believe, you know.
And I agree with you, and I would have probably deferred in that opinion just a few years ago, not knowing where I was meant to be in the world until I found writing. And I say found writing, I mean, I suppose it was always tucked away. Well, it was, you know, but to identify with something so strongly, I've never had that feeling. So it's such an incredible feeling for me. I mean, I have a day job, so this is something that's on the side that I do in the evening or 5 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. But I know that when I retire, which is sooner than later, that will be my life, and I will have found my home in a sense in this place. Yeah, in this
Yeah.
writing world.
I mean, the first step is that you found it, and who knows, what the
Yeah.
future holds.
Yeah, who knows?
you know. So, like you mentioned having a day job. So, when you come onto podcasts, is that like time off?
This is my lunch hour. I'm eating your daily before.
Yeah, but I mean that's inspirational, like to the people out there in the world, and there's so many of them who are searching and searching, and I like, I don't have the time, because I'm working. Here's Holly, we've all been through it. We've
That's
all
right.
been through it. Circumstances are different. Some people can go full in at a young age, some people it's later on. It depends, you know but doesn't mean that there's not enough time, because there is enough time. If you're working a day job, cool, do your day job, take care of your responsibilities, but as soon as you get home, work on your craft. It's an excuse to say there's not enough time.
Always. And I've done it, when you're too tired or when you feel dejected or uninspired. I mean, I was a young mom living in a small town in the middle of nowhere with no family, no friends, no job, and a baby on the way. But I always made time for creativity. Now, that being said, I wasn't always easy on myself. And I think I was creative for a different reason. And that has evolved in its own. But I've always made time. So it is difficult for me to hear people say, I don't have time. There's always a little bit of time. It's just how much do you want it? And I've
Yeah.
hustled. I have really pushed myself to learn and to absorb. I have been like a sponge for the last 3 years. So this book is a work in progress. My life is a work in progress. That'll never end, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I have put in the time, but I've also had a great support system as well. So, but yeah,
My
my
life
my
is a work in
creativity has
progress.
evolved. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't
um,
learn something new every day, then it's not a good day. And it's
yeah.
rare that I don't learn something new every day, you know.
And I mean, we human, right? We'll have our days where we
Mhm.
frustrated, or we just not in the mood because of whatever.
Mhm.
Me as well. But doesn't mean that we give up. We'll take the time out for ourselves, doing something besides creativity. And whether it's watching a movie, taking a walk, sleeping, whatever, we show up the next day,
That's right.
you know.
And yesterday was Sunday. I wanted nothing more than to sit on the couch and watch Love is Blind for the entire day. And I watched a couple of episodes, but I had other things that I needed to get done, and so I did. But what I would like to say is, maybe I'm making it sound so perfect and, oh, just do the thing that you want to do. But I have had moments of um, self sabotage, discouraged. Like I've had bouts of anxiety. And so it's not that I haven't lived through that, but I do believe that I needed to get through some of those periods in order to be where I am now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes
I
sense,
mean,
but that's,
yeah.
yeah.
No, for me, it makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
especially when you've lived it. And that's what I found so interesting, when I started interacting with all these phenomenal creators all over the world. Because I should think to myself, because we get caught up in the narrative, right? Like myself, being in the music industry, you always tend to look at the guys who are mainstream, whoever it is. So now you start comparing yourself to them, and when you don't reach that sort of social level or financial level, whatever level you're aiming for, you feel disappointed until you actually start interacting, with the independent creators, on the ground. And then when you start, I'll go through something and I'll be thinking, this is only happening to me. Why is this only happening to me? Then I'll chat to someone like I'm chatting, I'm like, okay, this also happened to Holly.
Mhm.
So I've been going down the right path. Everything I've faced, everything I've encountered, all the challenges I've had, all the challenges I still have, but I embrace it. I embrace those challenges, look for the blessings in disguise, and I just keep pushing forward because whatever may be happening to me is teaching me something. Because if I pray to God, right, and I say, God, look, I want to be a great writer, I want to be a successful author, God is not going to look down and be like, okay, Kino, cool, no problem. Go to sleep. Tomorrow I'll make it happen for you. And then you wake up in the morning and boom, hey, I'm a successful author. Doesn't work that way. In order for any creator, from my experience and how, interacting with people, like what I've evaluated is like, he needs to take you through different levels,
That's right.
and those levels you're going to be learning something that's new. Once again, as you said, learning something new each and every single day in order to get you where you need to be. And depending how big that goal is, there is going to be a lot of levels. And that's what I've learned, because now when I look at a situation, I'm like, 10 years ago, I never know that. Now I do. I've never
That's
been
right.
through this. Now I have gone through it. Now I know how to have tough skin in this business. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I also believe that conversations like these have to happen. And unless you do, you will be alone. And so I
Yeah.
think it's just so important to be there to support one another, to lift each other up. I'm in a very the position I'm in is different, I suppose, than those creatives that are doing it for a living. So I'm very grateful for that. I mean, I do have a day job. I have a great job, but the fun begins at 4 p.m. in a sense, right? Like that's where my creative life happens. I try to be creative at work, but it's not the best place to bring my fluffy, lovey words in the workplace. But I don't do this for money. I do it for joy, and it brings me absolute happiness. And if that ends, if that stops, even the podcast, if it's not fun, then I'm not in the right place. But not
Yeah.
everybody has
It's
that
not real.
privilege either. That's not real for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's not real. No, 100%. And that's the beauty of podcasting, which is still in its baby phases, even though it's like millions of podcasts out there. But now we're eliminating the red tape, you know.
Yes.
Now it's completely decentralized. Now we can interact, and whilst promoting our own work, our own career, talking about our own brand, our own journey, we're also inspiring someone out there right now who's confused and doesn't know what to do, which way to go. You know, and that's the
Well, and
beauty of it.
yeah, exactly. I mean that inner self-critic, she pops up every now and again. I even gave her a name, and she still creeps in, but I've learned to embrace her power. And she may pop in and say, "Well, Holly, do you really think that you should be putting this book out there or whatever creative project I'm working on? People are going to judge you. People are going to think this, think that." And then I flip her around, and I use her power to propel me forward. I mean, I live in that sort of negative space for a bit, but I don't wallow in it for too long, because
Yeah,
it's taken me down more than a few times. So if I write about her and I've given her a personality, a name, she will have her own story at some point. Probably
it's
of a
like you're having a
superwoman.
conversation with her. You
Kind
know,
of. Yeah, not in
yeah,
a weird way, but
yeah. No,
yeah.
it's not weird at all. Come to think about it, I don't think it was this podcast. It was another one of my podcasts that's dedicated to mental health.
Okay.
And I know someone else mentioned it on it as well, but now the depression or the anxiety, that was labeled, you know.
Oh,
So give the anxiety a name, and instead of like getting sucked in by the depression or the anxiety, let me have a conversation with it, and be
yes.
like, and then I remember at the time, well, can't even remember now, it was a he or she, said, okay, also give her a name. So Charles came to mind with me. I don't know why Charles came to mind. And I'm like, okay, Charles, chill out. I'm going to push you aside for now. You relax there. I'm going to continue with life. And surprisingly enough, it does work. So I can relate to that as well.
Exactly. I mean, I've told her, I've said, listen, Betty, her name's Betty, Rebel Betty. I said, I appreciate you and I thank you for what you're trying to do here. And I'm going to get it done. And it's almost a bit of an attitude I get with this inner critic. And I'll say, I'll show you. So, and maybe it's just in those stronger moments because sometimes the negative self talk does take me to a place where we all go. My work's
Yes.
not good enough. Nobody will like it. But then I have to come back to, but right, why are you doing this then? Oh, right, because it makes me happy. And that feeling you get when you create something, whether like I'm a knitter as well, you create a sweater. I made that or I wrote that. And so for me, it's important to live in it, move through it, because the only way to move through it is to just live it and get to the other side, because there is another side.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm.
Before we came onto the show, there was so much philosophy. Now on the show itself, there's so much philosophy. Are you sure you're not a philosopher somewhere in your life?
I do go pretty deep in introspection, that is for sure. I love to just think about life, think about why people do the things they do. Maybe I should have went into psychology at school, but
Yeah.
it just helps me to connect with who I am, and it probably relates back to that searching part of my life where I was always looking, searching for something, someone to belong to, whether it be family or be good at something.
Yeah.
And, now that I'm just getting older and wiser, acceptance keeps coming up. That's that's a word that just keeps coming around and around and around. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I mean, look, the whole world is run by psychology. There's a psychology behind everything, you know.
Yes.
Like, I'm not sure if you've read a book called The Psychology of Money.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, like even that book, like when you read that book and it's 20 short stories, you start to understand why the world works the way it does and why we view and see money the way we do. And then you realize there's a psychology behind it all, behind it all. And you just read that to actually take that and implement it into your life, and then you view everything so differently.
Well, I'm going to put
So
that on
weird.
my to read list.
Yeah, it's not like a new book, and there's another version of it also called The Psychology of Wealth.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna get that next as well it, because if you look at the world and how crazy people go about money, and you think to
Mhm.
yourself, nah, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Something is, yeah, it touches like on greed. I would rather make money doing the stuff I love than make money for the sake of making money.
I agree.
you know? And that sounds
Mhm.
crazy. It sounds crazy to my own family, but that's just me, you
Well, I
know?
think we just finally get to that place in life where we want to do the things that bring us joy, that we love to do. I mean, there's nothing quite like that feeling of being
Yeah.
entrenched in the thing that you do, whether it's cooking, crafting, music, reading, writing. There is a rush that you get from that. And
Yeah.
also from
There's
having
so
these
much.
conversations, it sparks more creativity, and it makes, like, after this call, I won't have any time because I'll have to go back to work. But after work, it'll be like, okay, I got to get right back in because
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
just sparks
So
more fire.
yeah, yeah, you're right about that. I'm just thinking about like when I mentioned, I woke up in the morning and my jaw is paining, and throughout the whole day, I'm like, going, but it's like so. Now that this conversation has started, like flowing, you're in a good space, you're feeling happy, you
Yeah.
know?
And you're not
Yeah,
thinking about it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're actually having a chat with someone who gets you,
Yes.
you know? They
Yeah.
get you. The worst thing of being a creative is being in a circle. And maybe this has happened to you as well, where it can be family, can be friends, but then they're no longer friends anymore because we're not on the same frequency in life now. And you'll be sitting there and they'll be having this conversation about something that is so irrelevant, and you're
Mhm.
like, guys, see you later.
Yeah.
It's not working out. It's really not working out.
You
And
just
then you
check
get
out.
into, yeah, you just check out. You don't look back. You
No,
don't look back.
but that's a difficult thing to accept as well. I don't know about you, Kino, but I've always been a loyal friend, and my friends have been very important to me, but moving to all these different places was very isolating and lonely. And so our friends became our family. And then when we moved from that place, I'd have to go through that heartache again. So when we came back to our hometown, I thought, how am I ever going to make friends as an adult? Because I invest my heart so deeply into these relationships. But I realized, okay, there was a time and place for those relationships. And it's not because we're not friends anymore, but our lives have gone in different directions. And I needed to accept that. Oh, there's that word again, acceptance. And until I realized that I was living in this grief, constant grief. And now that I'm here, we've been back for many, many years, but again, finding friends as an adult, older adult, isn't always easy when you're working full time. But I have found a circle of people here. Where have you been my whole life? It's just that they needed to be here in this moment, and we connect so well, and we're from different backgrounds, but writing is our center meeting point, I suppose, which is causing it to develop into this wonderful friendship. So I've had to learn to accept to leave other relationships behind, not because it was bad. It was just that we drifted, and that's okay. But it's not always easy to learn
Yeah.
that until you get to the other side of it. So,
It's like you found your true calling now and nothing
mhm,
personal, but you start to drift away because now, look, I need to focus on this. I need to do this for myself. And it's
mhm,
okay. To anyone listening, it's okay to make that decision for yourself.
it is.
You know, it is
Yeah.
okay. So, one more question. I don't want to make you late today.
Oh, no.
So,
It's okay.
before we get to your up and coming book, like how do
Mhm.
you keep a balance having a full time day job, you need time for your creative work and a family, which can be difficult.
That's a good question. I suppose having adult sons helps. They are no longer at home, so they're often living their own lives. I have a husband who has his career, and he's on the job a lot of times traveling, so it does allow for more creative time. Although we have my mother that lives with us now as we help to take care of her. Um, I'm not sure that you've got me there. I'm not usually at a loss for words, but I think I do what I need to do. I do what fulfills me, and I mean, if I don't get to writing one day, I'm not going to have a meltdown. It is what it
Mm.
is, but I think I'm also a creature of routine. So maybe that's where I find the balance because I like my days to be very similar to the day before it. And I fit in the things that I want to do now because I have done so many things for so many other people that it's time for Holly.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and
Wow.
that was a roundabout way to answer your question, but
I love that.
I
It's
think I
time
was
for
getting some
Holly.
aha.
Wow.
I was getting some aha moments there as I was
Yeah.
answering. Right, it is time for me.
Wow. That
Yeah.
was deep, like positive deep. Wow. It's time for Holly. It's time for Kino. Wow.
Let's do it. No, let's get to that
Nice.
project. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. You should really feel proud of yourself, Holly.
Oh, thank
Honestly.
you.
Yeah, you should feel proud of yourself.
Thank you.
And I mean, your husband supports you, which is so
Yes.
critical.
Yes.
The worst thing, and I've been there before as well, is having a partner, being in a relationship where she does not get it or does not support you. It just makes things so difficult.
Mm-hmm. And if I can share this little story, it's not one that I've shared very often. So when I started writing seriously over 3 years ago, I was writing in secret. Nobody knew I was writing, not friends, not family, no one. And little by little, I started to share that with people outside of the circle because that was safe. My son, my youngest son, is an incredible writer. So I would share the odd thing with him. So as time progressed, I mean, it was probably 2 years before I shared something with my husband. Ask me why? I have no idea. It was probably, Rebel Betty was coming and saying he'll think that's silly, or even though he wouldn't, because he's my number one supporter. But I just had all those self doubts. I wasn't good enough. Who do you think you are? All the thoughts. And then one day I was with my son in Toronto and we were writing poems, that sort of thing. And so I sent one to my husband. It was this long love poem. And he said, "Oh, that's really nice. Where'd you get that?" And I paused and I said, "Well, I wrote it." And he was really quite surprised. And that was the crack in the door to opening, me divulging that, no, I've been writing a lot. I was just too afraid, embarrassed, not sure what the word is there, to tell you. And all this time, he would have been more than supportive. He is my number one fan. I'm in awe. And he pushes me now to do certain things. So that goes to show you, like, I kept it hidden for so long. And he knows I'm a creative person. I have picked up and put down so many different hobbies, it would make your head spin. And so there you go. Like, it was time for me to reveal it, and I'm so happy that I did, but it took me a long time.
Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
that was a tough one to share because but I bet you there are other people who feel that way, that their work isn't good
Yeah.
enough. And it's not because I think my work is the best in the world, but I have a voice and people need to hear it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I feel there's plenty, millions of people out there, and you answered it yourself is because we're afraid. We're
Mhm.
afraid of what people are going to think. Being a young creative, I mean, I remember in school, like, you get home and then your parents expect you, because they're leaving you alone at home, to get your homework done. But
Mhm.
meanwhile, I'm mixing up music in the room. You know, I'm mixing up music, and as soon as I see the car coming into the driveway, I'm like, shut down, books is out, you know. But they may have known that I had a liking for music, but I
Mhm.
was afraid to tell them that this is something I want to do full time. So instead of sending me to a school just focused on academics, how about sending me to a music school,
Mhm.
something like that, you know? But I
Mhm.
mean, at that time, you don't know, you know, you can't really express yourself at school as well because you're even more afraid at school.
That's right.
That's how it
That's
was. Even more, how can I go tell my teacher, hey, I don't want to do this, Not because I can't, or because I'm stupid or I'm not smart, because I'm just not feeling this. It's not what I
right.
want to do with my life, And then you get
Mhm.
judged because you focused on other things, because you're doing it in the quiet, you know. So I get that. I get that. Then you're right. There's plenty people out there. So by listening to you, they're
Mhm.
like, hey, let me come out now. Let me tell whoever I need to tell. Hey, this is what I'm doing.
Exactly. And I think back to my younger creative self, and I'm talking as a toddler. I used to sit behind the wingback chair in the living room and create all night with whatever was around the house. It could have been toilet paper rolls, it could have been anything. And I was cutting and gluing and making cards for everyone. So, yeah, it just you brought me back to that memory, and I love that memory though, because I don't remember a lot of my younger self, but those are very vivid in my mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, at least we both shared the same childhood experience. But at least in this day and age, if parents are willing to listen, they're getting that knowledge now from podcasts alone. Because I've had, mentors and coaches come onto the show who do that and focus on that specific niche, like fully. Like, okay, parents, you got a creative child. Come to me, I'm
Mhm,
going to tell you how to go about it. You
mhm,
can check out my free courses. And then if you want to set up a one on one consultation, book you up. Now that's available, you
mhm,
know? And
mhm.
I like push out a strong message to parents, these days that look, if your kid's in school and they're more creative than they are academic, then there's something you need to do something about it now. You know,
I
don't
agree.
let it go on into their teens and then 20s. And then the next thing you keynote in your late 20s trying to figure out, okay, what now? What's next? You know, then you have to go like 50 steps back with your life, you know,
Yeah,
relearn every single thing you've ever done, and start building block by block by block. And I don't regret that experience, I've learned a lot from it. But parents, you can start with this process early.
absolutely. And we always encourage our two boys to continue their creativity because they are also very creative. And like I said, my youngest is a phenomenal writer, but
Yeah.
he's in the beginning of his career. And so by having him on, like we share the podcast. So that's my way of, you know, um, encouraging his creativity. I would love to collaborate on something with him one day when he has the time, but I understand. I mean, he's living his best life and but I was the parent always looking for classes or courses, but unfortunately I live in a smaller towns and a small city as well, but not too far away. That our art community felt almost underground and there wasn't a lot of offerings for people to explore creative art like visual arts or music. So we always struggled that way and I always tried to find something, but now it's up to them. They're adults now and but
Yeah.
I just felt as a younger person, your ability to absorb more is easier. As an adult, it's not always easy to learn a new skill. You can, and you just have to push yourself, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%.
Mhm.
So, Holly, let's talk about North of Broken.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Starting off with what inspired the title.
Well, I should have brought a photo of my dogs. Oh, the title. My apologies.
Yeah.
It was called Sully's Wisdom, but I switched it to North of Broken because both of my dogs were included in the story. And so I didn't want to play favoritism towards Sully. So I thought, North of Broken, that means that you're far away from being broken anymore, like being north of it. And Forever Home, well, the fur is a play on, of course, the dogs, that they found their forever home with the individual. It is heavily based on my story, but the protagonist is no longer me. I had to fictionalize it because I gave one of the dogs, Sully, a voice in the book.
Okay. Okay. The deeper message behind the title unveiled. So,
Mhm.
the book is inspired. So, okay, it's like label fiction, but once again, another book where there's like this dotted line towards nonfiction.
Yes. It started out as nonfiction. Well, it started out as a poem, really, as really
Okay.
not much. If you'll allow me to give you its origin story, I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've had these two rescue dogs for over 10 years, and they are riddled with fears, anxieties. Cash is the more aggressive dog, while Sully is the broken, if you will, timid dog who won't go through doorways, won't approach people, all kinds of things. I knew his origin story. I knew his rescue story, if you will. And so one day, after 10 years, I was sitting in the backyard after trying so many different things to help these dogs, to fix them in a sense. And Sully happened to turn around, looked at me, and started coming down the pathway, and his ears were flopping and his tail was wagging. He was so happy. And he came towards me. He allowed me to snuggle him in for, 30 seconds, and then he backed away. And he said, "That's it. I've had enough." And in that moment, I don't know, I just had a moment where like these 4 lines, I call it, a stanza downloaded into my head, and it was telling me through his voice, "I'm okay. Like, you don't need to worry about me. I'm fine just the way I am. I accept you, so just take me as I am." And so I sat with that for a while because I had been dabbling with different poetry, and I called it Poems from My Heart because it was all fluffy and full of love stories. And so I sat with that set of lines and I thought, I feel like I want to tell stories, Sully's story, so I can better understand him. So I just started to jot down different things. And then to make this very long story short, it evolved into scenes and then into chapters. And then all of a sudden I found myself, okay, I want to give Sully his own voice, but I need to recreate his story. And so I decided to take me out of the equation and develop a fictitious character. Yes, she may have some of my traits, but it became fiction for that reason because one chapter will be the protagonist's voice, and then the next chapter will be Sully telling his story. That's the reason why I had to become fiction.
Wow. And the character being Renly, which is
Yes.
your what's the word I can use? Your persona,
Yes,
sort of.
in a lot of ways. In the
Yeah, I don't
searching,
know.
yeah, in
Yeah,
a lot of ways, she comes from me, a version of me, but not fully me. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, characters always have a central, sentimental, link to the author somewhere, somehow.
agreed.
Right. So, without giving too much away, what's the punchline of the book? What do you want readers to take away from this book?
That this is not a rescue story. It's a story of mutual acceptance between human and dogs.
And what makes the relationship between humans and dogs, strong, in your opinion? Why you
It's
like sorry,
Mhm.
just to add to it, like why is a dog label a man's best friend? We've all grown up, with that line.
Yes, I've always had dogs, always. And my husband has not. He was a pet owner when I came along and sort of forced the dogs upon him because they are always there, and different dogs will have different levels of bonds with a human as I have with my dogs. And there is just this unbreakable bond. If you give them all of your heart, they are yours forever, and they look up to you for everything. You are their nurturer, caregiver, friend. I mean, we do take dog ownership in a lot of different ways. Like it would, I don't know. I just find like we're dressing our dogs, we're painting their nails, we're dyeing their hair. Like there's a lot of extreme avenues. Um, but the bond with my dogs is just having them there as my buddy. Um, I was a loner as a kid, but my dogs were always there. I didn't have large circles of friends, and into adult life, I still don't have large circles of friends. My everything is meaningful for me, and my dogs are always by my side. So
Yeah.
I think it's just that it's cliche, but it's unconditional love from the dog.
Yeah. Or that emotional support, right? Throughout life.
Yes. I mean, we do use dogs as a crutch sometimes. like we call them emotional support animals. And I do believe in that because I seek emotional support, I suppose, but as long as it's reciprocal and we give them just as much.
Yeah. I'm also a dog person. The worst thing for me, though, is when the dog passes away.
Mhm.
You just don't know
Mhm.
how to handle that, And that happened to me twice in my life. Once when I was really small and I know it devastated me. And then the
Mhm.
second time, okay, I was an adult, but I mean, still know how to handle that. And that's the worst. That's the
Mhm.
worst.
It is, and
Right.
this has been coming up in conversation a lot as well, where people will say, "I'm never getting a dog again. I don't wanna go through that kind of pain," and I suppose for me, and this is just my opinion, but wouldn't you wanna go through that kind of love again? I
True.
know it's for a very minimal time, it could be anywhere we don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow, so, but I know a dog's life is much shorter, but my goodness, because I think about it a lot lately because my 2 dogs are now approaching 12 to 13. They're big dogs. I know what's coming. Cash has been having seizures, every year now, but I would not give up the time I've had with him, all the good and the bad, and he has put us through a lot of bad, but I adore them, and I know I'll be in pain, but it's because I will have loved them so much. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna start getting all choked up here, so but wouldn't you wanna love again? Or, that kind of love. That's
Wouldn't
the
you
way I
want
look
to
at it.
love again?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they need us. They need us. The dogs, the cats, the rescue animals, any kind of animal, they need us as much as we need
Yeah.
them.
And your book is about rescue dogs,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
So what's
Yes.
the focus on rescue dogs? Like, why that?
And I know there's some not controversy, but there's a lot of conversation going on about this word rescue and how we're attaching the label rescue to the dogs. Why don't we just call them dogs? And there is some truth in that. They're dogs, but I suppose it's just because it adds a another level to their story. And with Sully in particular, he came from northern Canada, and unfortunately, in a lot of, northern towns, some of these dogs are abandoned, and so they become part of a pack, and then they develop a pack mentality, which can be dangerous to the town, like children, other animals, because the dogs do become feral. And so I wanted to not only understand my dog's story, I wanted to relive his life for my understanding, my acceptance, my further acceptance. But there might have been a sliver of a lesson in there just for readers in general. A lot of people don't understand that there is dog culling and that's a reality of the world. And so that's why I focused on rescue dogs.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. I always say on the show that, an author is truly passionate about their work and they're doing it for the right reasons because they got all those hidden messages that benefits the
Mhm.
reader,
Mhm.
where spark goes off, and you
Mhm.
find some sort of clarity in your life or whatever you're going through, you know. So, oh no, so you're going to say something.
Well, I was just gonna say, I knew that this couldn't be like this full-blown message, like, "You can't do this. You'll lose your readers." But I was
Yeah.
able to just slip it in there while they were having a conversation, and because I'm quite surprised at how many people don't know about dog culling. So it was just my way to put it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned, it's the first time I heard about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They take care of the dogs in a different way than rescuing them. I'll leave it at that, and it's not,
Yeah.
um, a happy way. So
So, clarity on the book. So Sally, correct. Am I saying it
yeah,
right? Sally.
correct.
Sally has a voice in the book. So What's something you can say from what Sully is saying in the book?
What's
Something impactful
something like,
that
do you
comes
mean
to
here?
mind.
Oh, from the book itself?
Yeah, from the book. Like it's like a one line, like
Oh my goodness. I've been doing revisions all weekend, so I should know this right off the top of my head. Um,
well, no, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be in the book, like, but something Sully would say to someone.
well, he'd probably tell his stepbrother Cash to chill out. Um, when they're living in the house and Cash has got the zoomies at 12 years old and he's running around everywhere or in the yard and he's just Sully's sitting back going, "Oh my, would you just lay down, dog?" That's definitely what I'm hearing Sully say all the time. Like, please just stop.
Yeah. That's what I
Yeah.
was looking for. That's
Okay,
what I was
okay,
looking
yeah.
for. Now we got a sense of his personality.
Oh, yes. And if you were to see the two of them, you even from a photo, you'd realize which one was the calm one and which one was the not calm one.
The hyper one, the no up to
Yeah.
mischief.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I was looking for.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to tell listeners about the book? Like, what's your ideal launch looking like for you now? Coming to, I mean, February is like around the corner, right?
No, don't remind
So,
me.
how do you feel? Like, what's the emotions like, Ollie?
Oh. Beyond excited. Um, surprised at how far I've come from writing poems for my sons on my 50th birthday to tell them that it wasn't so bad turning 50, to writing a novel that the world, people in the world will read. It's, I feel vulnerable, even sharing some of these stories. I would have never done that before, but here I am. I mean, what is the we said? Get comfortable with the uncomfortable, Kino,
Yeah, yeah.
that you said once before, which I will live by. And I'm so excited. We are having the launch at a local small cafe here in our town. And I am incorporating as many local businesses as I can. They're going to develop a drink for me at the cafe. A lot of the proceeds from this are going back to the shelters. And so, like I said, this is not a money making venture for me, but this is my way of not only understanding my dogs or giving them, giving it meaning, I should say, but it's also my way to give back a little bit because I can't necessarily volunteer until I retire. So I'm thinking of bringing in all of these people who are donating items, and anything that we sell will be given back to shelters locally here. So it's also a community project, and that's very important for me because I wouldn't be where I am without a couple of people in my life in this community who led me. And when I needed help, I reached out and they were there, which is something I plan to do in the future as well. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but I would like to be a mentor for someone who is just beginning. Yeah, so I'm pretty
That
pumped,
was so
excited.
emotional.
Mm.
Yeah. Ollie, you are an awesome human. Like, well done.
Oh,
You know,
how are you,
well
Kino? I'm so happy we met today.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
mean, I am proud of you. Well done, honestly. It's such an inspiration, And
Wow.
like how you said, you'll finish work today at 4 p.m. because of the conversation. You're going to be like, yeah, you know. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever comes my way this week after this conversation, Holly, I'm like, yeah, you
Let's
know.
go get it.
The,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. And there's so much philanthropy behind your work. It's not for the money. Proceeds are going to the shelters. Wow.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's inspiring. And I'm sure Mickey has quite a hectic schedule for you coming up. Oh, he's planning one. He's planning one, you know?
I'm so excited. I feel so fortunate, and it's because of my dogs. So you can imagine what the dedication page is going to read. to Cash
Yeah.
and Sully. If it wasn't for them, honestly, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you. And they don't
Yeah.
even know that, you know?
Maybe they do. They just don't know
Maybe.
how to say it to you.
Maybe.
You
Maybe.
know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, dogs are so intelligent,
Yeah.
you know, so intelligent. This
Mm.
this now reminds me of what's the movie? Oh, there's two. East Ventura and Dr. Dolittle.
And Farewell the best.
You know, I saw the I was watching something the other day, and then I never know there was a movie called Just Dolittle with
Oh.
Iron Man. Who's the guy from Iron Man?
Um,
Uh,
oh my goodness.
and Sherlock Holmes. He stars in Sherlock
Yes,
Holmes
of
as well.
course.
That's just like an obvious one, but here we are, like,
Robert Downey
wow.
Jr.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, okay, I need to watch this when I get time. Let me watch, because I never watched that one. I'm so used to the Eddie
Yeah.
Murphy ones. Like,
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
now that makes two of us. I'll have to go check that out.
Well, I'm saying this in a good way. You remind me of the Doolittles.
Okay.
So, but also saying that animals can pick up. They may not be able to speak to us, but I feel they pick up on whatever depressing. The quote, like, wow. I'm thinking to myself, when my dog, whenever I used to be sitting on my bed, reminiscing, thinking about something, here she comes and she jumps on the bed. Now she's chilling next to you. Like she knows what's going on. And
That's so true.
don't you just love it? Like,
Mhm.
they're always excited to see you. Always.
Always.
Your mother may
Mhm.
not be excited to see you on the day. Your father may not be excited to see you on the day. Your friends may not be excited to see you. But here you are walking down the road, and she is standing by the gate waiting for you.
And she knew you were coming 10 minutes
Yeah,
ago. That's the beauty.
yeah, yeah. It's like she knows what time you're coming home from college.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
she's there by the gate. You're with Kino. Yeah, yeah, you're with Kino. He's here. He's here. And then you're coming down the road.
So
Wow.
true. So true.
Yeah, so true. Holly,
Mm.
thank you so much for such a humble conversation. You know,
You said the perfect word. I humble is, yeah, I believe in being assertive and humble and having humility. And this has been an incredible conversation.
yeah,
I'm so
no, that's
thankful.
me too. So much gratitude. And
Mhm.
once again, I said this at the start, you are going to blow it away with the audiences, honestly. Like, you may be having, your book tour, launching, starting off, it's at a cafe, but it's going to be great. I got positive feelings about that. And you're just going to grow from there, because we're living in this world where connection, human connection, is so important. And
Mhm.
building that intimate relationship, with an audience, with your community.
Mhm.
And I can see it. You are going to do well, honestly.
I'm speechless,
Yeah.
Kino. Like I'm near tears out of gratitude. It's just an incredible feeling to sit here on the other side of the world and speak to you and have you see me for what this is, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
And I can't thank you. I can't thank you. So, where can listeners find you online? Do you have a website? Are you on social media?
I do. I've created a website and it's www.ramblingsfromthelittleshed.com, which is this space. My son and I have just begun our podcast, Ramblings from the Little Shed. There's a theme here. And you can listen to that on any of the podcatchers. I'm also on Instagram, Rambling from the Little Shed. Had to take away the S because Instagram wasn't happy with me liking so many pages. And that is a very the digital world is difficult for me to navigate, but I'm taking it on and figuring it out. And I can't wait
Comfortable
to
with the
connect.
uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so I will definitely check out your podcast. So, is it like your home self journey?
It's actually how dogs or animals or pets influence your creativity. And so
Okay.
my guests come on, we discuss their pets first because that's the priority, and how they think, whether it's the dog or cat, influences their creativity, such as my dogs have for me. Then we move on to the human. And if we have time, we'll talk about what you do for fun and creative wise, but it's I want to explore how animals are having an effect on people's creativity, whether it's a chef, an artist, an author, a writer, anything, musician. So, yeah, maybe
Nice.
maybe you'll be a guest on our podcast one day.
Yeah, who knows? You know, I'd be honored if you send an invite. You know, I'm always game for anything.
Consider it sent.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for the consideration. Holly, thank you so much again. Once again, like I love it when it's so humble and so, which it always is, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it, you know, keeping it real. That's what the show is about, you know, no filters, no hidden agendas. You know, we just here to sell. No, we're not. You know, we're here to build connectivity. That's what I believe in. So
I
thank
love
you.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will catch you soon.
Betcha.
It's never goodbye on the show, by the way. It's never goodbye.
No, see you later.
Yeah. Catch you later. Thank you, Holly, and keep being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Okay, I will.